guys, thanks for clicking on the video. And as you can see here, we're going to be redoing this dresser that my wife actually found on the side of the road. So we ended up picking this up for absolutely free. It was just a curbside pickup that we just took. And as you can probably see, my wife took it upon herself to start sanding this down. We wanted to get all the dirt and grime off this thing, and sanding is probably the best way to just start from a fresh start. Now this dresser is in really rough condition, so I already know that I'm going to have my work cut out for me. But the reason that I ended up getting it is because it does actually have pretty good bones. That meaning that it is actually pretty sturdy. And as long as you know it has good bones, you're going to be able to fix it up, and you know it's going to be a solid piece of furniture. So my wife has a really good vision for this, but there was one big problem that I noticed with this right away when she was standing. And that was these front drawers. I think you can see why I got my work cut out for me. Sneak peek, I'm going to have to put all new runners in here for these drawers to slide on. But back to these drawers, this front piece isn't actually wood. So it might be kind of hard to tell on camera, but this is actually made out of MDF. This isn't actually a solid piece of wood. This is it sanded, and you can tell that there's no wood grain or anything to it. And that's because MDF is kind of just made out of compressed sawdust. But that's really not the end of the world. If you do have MDF front boards like this, you can always paint it. But unfortunately, you can't stain it. If you don't believe me, I'll even show you. And yes, you're probably saying, oh, you're wrong, it is staining. Well, go ahead and take a look at this. I don't know how you feel, but I think that looks like So since we got an idea for our design being a piece of wood that's stained for the front of these drawers, we can't actually use these because, well, we could use it, but it's going to look like garbage. So what we're going to have to end up doing is actually removing these front pieces and then building our own. And I know that sounds like a lot of work, but I got to tell you, it's going to look so much better. The bad news is, all the sanding that my wife did is kind of for nothing. I'm probably not going to be the one to tell her that, though. So I got the template of what I know we need to have, but I'm going to have to make 4 of these. And as you can just kind of see here, I have to make a cut here, almost like a shiplap, and then another groove down the center where this base just fits into. So if you guys are a subscriber to my channel, you probably know that I do not like to go out and buy wood. I always recycle. Well, this dresser is going to be the same thing. I'm pretty cheap, I don't spend money. So I got a bunch of boards from an old barn site that I went to and collected some wood there. This is actually shiplap boards. Yeah, these are pretty gross. But these should actually work really good for the front covers of these. It's nice that they already have the shiplap groove, but it's on the wrong side. But anyways, I'm going to have to go ahead and mill these down. What I'm going to end up doing is running this through the planer and then the jointer. Since it's got the shiplap, I'll probably just run it through my table saw to get rid of it right away. But we're going to clean these boards up and I'll show you what they look like after. So there are a couple different ways that we could perform our cuts that we need to duplicate on here. My original plan was just to use a router and then route this out, but you can actually use a table saw to perform these cuts as well. And I figured that since not too many people actually have a router, I'd show you how you can use your table saw to get this done too. I'm just going to do it the easy way, and that is lowering your blade all the way down. Alright, you want to put your board down like this, and slowly raise your blade. I'll move it around. So that's the height that we need. Now to cut inside, I'm just going to push this all the way against the blade. So we got our blade at the correct height and on the far edge of this cut, so we're just going to put the fence right up next to it. And then this is where our cut's going to be. I got our cut. So obviously this isn't the whole length of it. Whoops. So we're just going to take our, whatever this thing's called, I forget. And we're just using this to do a bunch of repeated cuts to finish off our knot. Oh, finally. Alright, so don't forget on our board here we also have a bottom line right here that we need to cut in. This is the hole, the bottom of the drawer. It's just a slit so it slides right in there. And as you can see here, it's the same depth of what we were cutting right here. So we're not going to change the blade at all. We're just going to pull this thing out and then try and line it up with the fence. So we got it all lined up with the fence to make our first cut. We got it at the right height right here. We're gonna have to move the fence a little bit this way and cut it again because my blade width isn't as thick as this. But that's easy enough. So we're gonna go ahead and rip this stuff up. So we got all our pieces. I guess we can go ahead and double check and make sure that they fit. Wow, perfect fit. I'm liking that. But before we get any further, we gotta go ahead and sand this stuff. And yeah, I don't want to bore you guys with sanding. What I'll be doing is just doing 100 grit and then 220 on these. They're just the front of drawers, so not that important. And while I got the sander out, I'm gonna go ahead and just sand over this whole entire dresser. It's got a little bit of a finish on it. You want to get rid of that, otherwise your paint's not gonna stick too well to it. So unfortunately, I know everyone hates sanding, but you're gonna have to sand the entire dresser. That's going to make sure that that paint sticks on and it's going to last a long time. And now that these boards are all sanded, we can go ahead and throw our stain on it. I'm using probably my favorite stain. It's a golden pecan, however you want to say it. And yeah, as you can see, it just really brings out the grain of this wood, and I just think it looks great. So before we put these drawers together, I've been actually contemplating on how I'm going to get these to slide in and out of this dresser. You can see that the system that I used before is almost like a dovetail type sliding device. This had a piece of metal that was clamping over it that was actually on the bottom of the drawer. But as you can see, these are pretty worn out, and the metal sliding device was super bent, and it was just a worn out system that isn't good anymore. So I got to thinking maybe I could make my own kind of dovetail sliding right in the middle here, maybe possibly reuse these. But honestly, these are pretty worn out, and I think they're junk. But I am probably going to keep them there just for a stabilizer for the drawer in case you put something heavy in there. It'll be able to sit there and hold it. I've been trying to think a lot what I'm going to do. The best method would be to go out and buy some metal tracks that you put on these drawers. But again, I don't want to go out and spend $40 for something that I picked up curbside. So I kind of coming up with an idea to put 2 runners on each side of this with a kind of concave groove in the middle of it. What that groove is going to do is actually sit underneath this drawer, and it's just going to have a groove right here that'll slide back and forth on. The only problem I have with that is these drawers actually come down too much and end up flush with this board that runs across here. So I'm going to have to modify these drawers a little bit, and I'm going to actually take off maybe 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch on the bottom of these drawers here. That will hopefully give it enough clearance to sit on top of a groove on each side of this to pull this drawer in and out and hopefully glide pretty easy on its way out. If you couldn't tell by now, I've honestly never done this before. This is just a crazy idea I'm thinking, but we're going to see how it works. Okay, so now I'm going to take my board that I've been working on and bring it over to the router table. This is where we're actually going to put that groove in that's going to have the drawers slide on top of it. I'm going to zoom you in real quick to which router piece we're using. Alright, this is called the Core Box router bit. This is also the bit that you would use to put a juice groove into a cutting board. I only want it to be about 1/4 inch, so we got to measure that. Pretty good, lock it up. So we're going to have our groove running through the middle, and then I'm also going to have 1/4 inch on each side. Okay, so we got our feather board set up. Remember guys, it's always safety first. You can never be too safe. Okay, so we got our runners done, and as you could probably see, I did have to trim one side a little bit down. This drawer is super tight against each side, so I need this really far out to the side. But we're going to go ahead and give this a little bit of a test run before I secure them. Actually, I got an idea. Now we can see our bottom pieces right here. I actually ended up sanding this too to make it so that it'll fit in there a lot easier. Slides. Boom. It seems to slide in just perfect. And that bottom of the drawer is perfectly in there. So I'm liking this a lot. So the next thing I'm going to do is put the fronts on these drawers, and I'm going to install these runners. Here are the beautiful fronts of the drawers, and let's see if they fit. Gosh, they better. Would you look at that? They actually fit. So normally I would use a staple gun, but I got a staple through this side piece into here. Well, the staples I have aren't long enough. They get stuck right there. So, it's alright. We'll be using the 18 gauge nail gun. And just popping some nails in the side. Here we go. On nice and tight. Okay, so we got the drawers done, dresser sanded, we got the new rail system in. I think we got pretty much almost everything done, but we got to put on a coat of paint yet. Because, obvious reasons. I got a cool green color that we're going to be painting this. I think this green with the light color wood is going to look really good. But you guys can be the judge. I'm just going to be applying this with just a roller. You can use a paintbrush or a spray gun, whatever you got. Alright guys, paint is dry, so I put the shelves in, and I gotta say, it's looking really good. And my intention was not to put handles on it. I do kind of like the look of dressers that don't have handles on it, but I went ahead and found these just on Amazon. They're super cheap, and honestly, I think putting some handles right here is actually a pretty good look for this. So we're just gonna go ahead and install these cheap little handles here. They are size 5 1/8, which is kind of weird. Not very convenient to line them up. So to install these handles, we're just going to first find the middle of these drawer pieces. I got a mechanical pencil. There's lots of coats of polyurethane on these drawers, so just a little bit of pencil lead won't do any damage to it, and we can erase it later. Seven 3/8. Oh no, what's half of that? 6. 3, 11/16. Alright, from our middle spot, I'm going to go over, make sure that it's level. I'm going to go over 2 1/16. There. 2 dots. That's where our handle's going to go. And just to make sure all my dots are in a line. Perfect. Alright. Let's drill some holes. Before I go any farther, I'm going to make sure the bolt fits through that. Ooh. So as you can see, these ones that I bought are too long. But luckily the bolts that it came with have these cut-off points where you can snip off the bolt and then make them the size that you need. Alright, so we got the handles on. Now we just gotta fill this thing up with clothes. But we're all done with our dresser, and I gotta say it looks really, really good. And it fits the style of our room, so I'm really happy with this thing. You know, considering that we got this thing off the side of the road just a couple of days ago, and now that it's in here, looking really good in our room, I'm pretty happy with it. But halfway through this build, I was kind of thinking, is it worth it to redo dressers to try and sell? I don't know, that's kind of a hard question. To be honest, I don't really know how much I would pay for this dresser. The reason that I like it a lot is because it matches our room. But if it didn't, I don't know. But realistically, I got this thing from the side of the road. I only sank some money in these handles, but that was really only a couple dollars. So I don't really have much invested into it besides a lot of my time. Let me know what you think in the comments about this. I'm really curious if other people have redone dressers and made money off of it. And let me know what you think about how I did. But anyways, I had a lot of fun redoing this thing myself. So until next time, cheers, I'll see you guys later.